Hi, I'm Jack. Welcome to the No Limits Business Lounge. So today we are speaking to Joe Kyles, Director of Kyles Marketing, and we'll be learning about the truths of the marketing business. All right, Joe, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
The rule of this discussion,
Yeah.
you get one veto,
Okay.
and I'm applying that rule. So anything we ask each other,
Yeah.
we have to answer honestly,
Yeah.
truthfully, and you can say no to one thing. And I'm the same, so you can ask me whatever, yeah?
Okay. Yeah.
That's just the rule, because we want to be authentic.
Yeah.
Everyone that listens to this, benefit from it, learn from it, but also you know that you're hearing the truth, yeah? So I actually, with you, I want to start off with something that you've told me before.
Okay.
You were a chef previously, weren't you?
Yeah.
All right. You're now in marketing.
Yeah.
I can resonate because I've had something different in the past to what I am now.
Yeah.
How's that come about?
I had loads of different careers, which is funny, but we can get into that later if you want. But chefing came about just because I had a love for food, and kind of cooked for a lot of my younger years. Over time, I was like, right, maybe I can find a career in this. Did end up getting into the food industry, kind of forced myself into the kitchen, got into the kitchen, and then ended up going into different restaurants. Ultimately, it all came to an end when I had my son. He didn't sleep. He wouldn't sleep. Every hour, he'd wake up. I was getting home super late, but then I'd be back in the kitchen first thing in the morning, and it was just really hard for myself to manage, and I was almost like a walking zombie at times in the kitchen and just flipping out at people. And I was like, I need to find a new career that suits better working hours. And I applied for a sales role on the phones, and it was at a marketing company. I then got opportunities within that marketing company to kind of come out of sales, and the job that I did basically had me dipping into each department. So I learned a lot of marketing, from paid ads to web design, customer service, all sorts of different aspects, and sales. So that's ultimately kind of how marketing came about. Fell in love with it, was there for 4 years, I think 3 years, something like that. And then Chantel set up Kyle's Marketing, and then about a year in, I joined this business.
The reason why I want to start on that, because when you told me, you reminded me of someone, shout out to Eddie, um, someone from Newcastle who I hired. He was a chef. He was actually on MasterChef as well.
Oh, wow.
Now, when you talk about the love and passion for something, you had that. He had that. I have love and passion for something different to what I do as well. Now, the reason why you're very similar is because he went into the kitchen.
Yeah.
He tried to establish himself, and he wanted a career in something because it didn't suit his lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because he had young children. But also from a financial perspective, when you have children, your mindset changes because you're not thinking, okay, I'm doing this for the love and passion of things. You need to adapt. And I think what I'm trying to get at here is, for a lot of people, they're taught, okay, do what you love, do what you have passion for.
Yeah.
That's not the world.
No.
What do you think?
I totally agree, because, like I said, and to be honest, chefing actually killed my passion for cooking because I wasn't cooking at the levels, probably like your friend, that I wanted to cook at. Chefing's an industry where ultimately you've got to start at the bottom, whether it's pot wash, and make your way through chef de partie, sous chef, all the way up to head chef. But you could be a head chef in a restaurant, you're still not cooking your passion. Ultimately, the best chefs have their own restaurants. They cook for their food that they want to put in front of people. To get to that level is years and years and years, and you know you need to train under like, if you look at the chain of top chefs, they've all worked with each other. Marco Pierre, Gordon Ramsay, it goes on and on and on like that. So although that was my passion, like you said, I was never going to get to fulfill that passion, even if I continued with that career. I don't think.
Well, I can resonate to that again. It's not the same industries, but I qualified as a barrister. And I remember my first job, I was a paralegal. Again, like a chef, you start at the bottom and you work your way up. Now, I had a love for the law, whether that was watching American TV series or movies, whatever it was, but I had a love for the law.
Yeah.
Even when I was studying my bar course, we would do these mooting competitions, which is like debating different cases. I loved it. That first job killed my passion.
Yeah.
It got to the point where literally I remember walking home one day, it was raining. Back then, I used to be a lot younger, had my hair nice and slick and everything, but it was pissing it down. And
Yeah.
I got home and I thought, I hate my job.
Yeah.
I'm not happy. I want to do something different. And literally the week after, I flew out to Dubai. And that's what I mean. Like, we have to be realistic. Yes, you can have a love and passion for something, but it doesn't mean that that's what pays the bills. Now,
I think ultimately you can come back to your passions as well.
Exactly.
I think that's the thing, if you're stepping outside of your passion, ultimately you can generate a better opportunity for yourself, which in turn, like in my home kitchen now, I got the best knives.
Yeah.
I can cook in my own time.
Which knives do you have?
I can't remember the Japanese.
Dalstrong, is it?
Yeah, I can't remember the actual branding or whatever, but I'll show you next time.
I'm interested in knives.
The ones with the steel, you can see all the waves in the steel. Yeah, they're just crazy sharp.
So would you say your passion for marketing then it's grown?
This is where it's funny. With marketing, I'm riding a wave.
Yeah.
I have months where I hate the industry, and a lot of it is because of there's a lot of bad wording given to the industry because of people having their hands burnt and things like this, and companies not getting back to you. We can go on about that all day. And it is a very true statement, to be honest, because I think people have sold a lot of things in marketing which have not benefited businesses. I think that's one of the biggest and most scary things for businesses is I'm going to invest some money. Hiring a member of staff, terrifying. For the first member of staff you hire, I remember doing Natasha that we hired, I was terrified because ultimately you're taking on somebody else's responsibility to pay them. Over time you get over that and it's just it's a thing that you have to do to scale. But so I ride the wave where I love it and then I hate it, and it's more down to I'm probably not doing things that I want to do in the business. I think, which is where I lose my passion for it. Is where I'm dug into stuff that's just not that fun. Do you know what I mean? But that's a business owner. Then I have weeks and months where the team's doing great, sales are coming in, we're out shooting in all different locations, we're doing podcasts, and I love that stuff. I love talking to business owners. I love being in front of new businesses. I love seeing people aspiring to do. It's great when you walk into a business and they're like, "Oh, this is my idea. This is my plan. Can you help me do this?" And that's what I love about marketing is really helping people achieve their dreams. That's more my passion for marketing is helping other people, not the actual ins and outs of the daily work and setting advertising up and doing all that. That's what we have to do to make people money. But I love when I can see people flourishing because of the work we've done for them.
So there's two things there I want to pick up on. One, you mentioned you've got your ups and downs. Most industries they have their ups and downs, but not a lot of people come out and be upfront and say what the bads are, truthfully, because all you hear is the goods, and that's in a way a bit misleading. So give me an example of what you mean by the bad.
The bad stuff, I can give you a few. It's hiring the wrong staff has been one, where you've kind of hired something wrong, not something wrong, it's just they've not fit what you would wanted to get out of that person. So ultimately you invested a lot of money and they've not turned out to be the thing that you wanted it to be. So you're then back into I've got to hire somebody else. So you're going through the interview process and people don't understand the amount of time.
It's painful.
It's so painful. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of interviews. And like we said earlier on in a different conversation, it's all I hire on personality because that is kind of how we've had our best hires. Financial sides, when you're losing money, we ultimately lost money because of it, because we're focusing on that so much, we've not been able to scale the business the way it should have been, and I'm getting pulled into doing not sales or not building the business. That's been real downsides. There's been, potential HR cases that have come up. In a previous job, I went and did a tribunal and stuff like that, and there's all sorts of things like that people don't, in the front of the business, don't see. There's always, I think, we roll with the punches in business, right? It's one of those.
For me, I think, with staffing, recruiting, right? I agree, it's painful, but we've got an obligation, so we have
Yeah.
to kind of do it. Now, with me, one thing I've learned is when people apply for a job,
Yeah.
they oversell, because yeah, you have to. Yeah, it's human nature to do that. I get it. But when people oversell and don't deliver, that is the biggest annoyance, and it's that trust and control as a business owner.
Yeah.
That's I'm not saying that's what it was for you, but it certainly was for me. When you are giving up control and freedom for someone to do something, it's kind of like you're thinking, oh, this is my baby,
Yeah, it is.
and so it's having that trust,
Yeah.
right? That's what I found the most difficult to get over, and I think that's what people have to understand from a business owner's perspective. It's not all rosy. There's so many issues, and one of the biggest is staffing and
Yeah.
recruiting. That's the honest truth of it.
Yeah.
And the second thing that I want to sort of touch on, which you raised, from what you do, from the few conversations I've had with you,
Yeah.
you're very energetic. Your characteristic is you're very,
Yeah. For one.
upfront. Yeah,
For one.
which is yeah. Everyone's got different characteristics. What's brought that about? Like, I myself, I'm quite calm, reserved, and I don't let people see the various sides. Whereas you, I just feel as if you're, which is good.
An open book type
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So I mean,
I think over time I've probably adapted my personality almost, because in my younger life, when I was at school and things like that, my parents had a bad breakup. I went off the rails, totally off the rails. Didn't really attend school much between 13 and 16. Still got a few GCSEs somehow, but just I preferred to work, and you call it ADHD if you want. I never knew I had ADHD. It wasn't a thing back in when I was at school. It was just this guy's hyperactive type thing. And over time, I struggled with friendships. Never really had people that locked into me, if that makes sense. Probably because of the way I am, and being kind of just so wild. Did a lot of partying. So I guess I'm very confident, I suppose, is one thing, in front of people, being around people, never really bothered. I'll just talk to anyone. But over time, I've had to adapt that to try and be more, not calm, but kind of reserve myself a little bit, so that people can get to know me before they kind of get the full-on Joe, if that makes sense. Because
yeah.
I am very
Well,
full-on.
that's what I want to get to. In life we meet so many different types of people.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. I get that. But with your personality the way you are, you mentioned school being a factor, and obviously your family situation. What's behind this character? As in, you're so energetic. Is there something else behind it? Because there has to be.
I don't know. Maybe I have to ask my wife. I'm honestly not sure.
Well, let's
go
talk
on.
about school then, because
Yeah.
you mentioned school. You weren't really prioritizing that for the reasons you said. Yet you've come out this stage
Yeah.
with your own business,
Yeah.
looking around the office. You've done well for yourself.
It's all right.
Well, it's all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As long as you're content.
Yeah.
Now, this is one of those things which I am so passionate about, because what I see in schools now is so much focus on education, so much to the point whereby if they're not achieving they've got levels instead of letters now, level 9, 8, 7,
Yeah.
you're considered a failure. I was an average student, right? I had my issues. I didn't focus on education that much, right? So for you, what was school like, and how have you overcome them barriers to be where you are now?
Like I say, I wasn't there much, especially in high school. Primary school was fine. It's not that I went to bad schools. It's not that my parents were bad parents. I'm not saying that. My parents went through a rough breakup, which ultimately I was just going into high school. It affected me a lot. A few things that happened. It's not their fault. Do you know what I mean? It's that parents break up at the end of the day, whether it's messy or not. It can affect kids either way. It affected me. I just wouldn't tune in at school. But then the other factor is if I'm not interested in something, I've just got no time for it. And I've always been like that. I used to teach trampolining and at a stunt school in my hometown, and that was, I love doing that. You know, I love sport, I love PE, and so my focus just went boom, I'm doing that. And that's what I did. I volunteered for 3 years doing that. Dipped in and out of school. I turned up for PE last period. Be like, oh, I've got rugby, I'll go do that. They stopped me doing that at school until I turned up to the rest of my lessons. But school, like I say, I just didn't really gel with it at all. You know, the likes of putting me in a history lesson, a geography lesson, an English lesson, I just bored me to death. Couldn't focus on it.
So to those people that struggle in school,
Yeah.
whether it's with grades or personal issues, what advice would you give them?
My son's going
You've
through it
been
right
through
now.
it,
Yeah, I've been through it myself. My son's struggling a little bit at the minute, and I always say to my son, just work hard, dream big, and never give up. We have to do things in life that ultimately at times we don't want to do. And that's one thing I've learned over time is that, you know what, I have to get stuck into the nitty gritty rubbish stuff of the business, because if not, I'm going to dwell on it and we're not going to get anywhere. So just keep grinding at it. You know, it is what it is. We've all got to do it. We've all got to go through it. Don't worry. You know, I talked to maybe 1 or 2 people that I went to school with. Don't worry about it. You know, it's going to be all right. You're going to find your way one way or another. I never expected to be. Marketing wasn't even a thing on my radar when I was at school. I don't think it was, especially social media wasn't a thing.
So you are aged.
Yeah. So, you know, look at where I am now, like you said, it's totally different compared to what I wanted to do in school or where I thought I'd be in school. I was trampolining coach, and then I went into an apprenticeship doing hairdressing. From there, I went into bar work, and then into chefing, and then now marketing, and then ultimately my own business. One thing I'd always knew in school was I wanted to work for myself. And I think that was through struggles of working with people, not because more they couldn't work with me than the other way around. I'm not blaming anyone. I am very out there and in front, kind of in your face. I get that now. Yeah, but
Well, I've always said personalities make people who they become, and I'll give you an example of that. When I was in high school, I've got a family member who is the same age as me, so we did our GCSEs same year, and in terms of results, there was no difference really. We got similar results. We're quite average in education, but the difference was personalities. I still have this card actually from my English teacher, Miss McQueen. She wrote in the card saying, "I expect big things from you. I expect you to be on The Apprentice one day." Because I always dreamed of being on The Apprentice. But I had that mindset where my personality was how I am right now.
So my English teacher had something totally opposite. On when you sign your shirts, I had no idea how you've done it. Was what he wrote on mine. Go on.
My family member, he was the opposite to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, what the reasons are, he didn't. I guess he wasn't allowed to blossom socially, whereas I was. Right now, fast forward 10, 15, 20 years, right? And I look at both of us now, my personality is still the same.
Yeah.
His personality is still the same. And that actually reflects our careers as well, which is crazy to think.
Yeah.
And I said it yesterday when I was lecturing at University of Central Lancashire. I said to people, I got a question, Jack, what skill should we work on? And I said, work on your personalities, and if you haven't got one, get one.
Yeah.
And I can see that in you. And again, this is from experience of dealing with a lot of people across the globe. You had your problems in school, but you had your personality. And one way or another, that personality has got you to where you are. And I give this advice to a lot of young people who are in school, college, university. Yes, education is important, but your personality is just as important.
Yeah.
It's not all about your grades.
No.
So what, again, from someone that's at the end of their GCSEs, A levels, whatever, and if they've not got what they wanted from education, what are you saying to them?
Don't worry about it.
You'll find.
Don't worry about it. You'll find your way. You've just got to be motivated. Find something that motivates you. It might not be your passion, but for me, a big turning point in my career, and I'll always remember it, was my old boss. Shout out to Lee Brady. But my mum was very reserved. She went through, her mum died of cancer when she was 21. She was left to look after her sister and her brother. Dad was an alcoholic, passed away. Mum ended up homeless. So she's gone through the worst of the worst and built her up to owning her own home. For my mum, she just can't get into her head the fact of being a millionaire. It's not possible, that type of thing, or getting to these levels. It's just not possible because she's almost frightened. Whereas I was always, I want more. I want to make sure I can go on these lovely holidays, buy the motorbike that I want to buy the car I want to have, and ultimately fulfill my passions that way. Buy the knives I want to chop my food with. You know what I mean? So over time, I've sort of lost what I was saying. That's ADHD for you.
No, so I was saying, what advice would you give? You said don't worry about it to these students if they haven't got the grades.
Don't worry about it.
Well, I mean,
So my mum, so she was always very scared, and then so my old boss, he was the first person that when I was actually leaving the company, I sent him an email saying, look, I want more. And he was like, the only way you're going to get more is if you sat in my seat. They were the words that he said to me. And I was like, okay, so, and it was like, I think you've outgrown the company, basically, is what he said. And he sat me down and he taught me through his career path, basically, and where he'd ended up going bankrupt in his first business, rebuilt himself, and then ultimately had a multi-million-pound marketing agency. And he said to me, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a millionaire? He said, because you're never going to do that here. I said, yeah. And he was like, you're going to have to go out and get it, type thing. And he was the first person that kind of didn't look at me like I was an alien when I said, I want to be a millionaire. Yeah. Something just clicked. I can do it. It's just, and that was only a mental change. It was nothing had changed about who I am as such, or where I had no job, right? At that point, I was like, right, I'm going to work it out. I'm going to find a way. And then from there, so I started meal prepping meals for people. I started selling online, e-commerce, and just started making a little bit of money. I was like, oh, well, I've made £1,500 this month. Oh, I've made £2,000 this month. Yeah. That's more than I was getting paid. Oh, now I've made £3,000. And then Chantal my wife was making money. And I'm like, now we're making more money. All right, maybe we can get to £10,000 a month. Then, and it was like, all of a sudden, my mindset alone of you can do this changed everything.
Well, that's the entrepreneurship mindset. I always say you're born with that mindset and then you develop it. And the people that are not born with it, you can tell. Yeah. A funny story in high school, one thing I used to do, and everyone that was in my year will know about this. It was at the stage where they stopped fizzy drinks and all crisps and that in school. So all that went, even though they were saving pizza.
Good old Jamie Oliver.
Chips and beans and all that. But what I used to do, my dad used to go to Costco, and for our house he used to get massive boxes of cans of Coke, 7-Up, fizzy sweets, boxes, crisps, everything. So what I used to take all that, put it in my school bag, and I used to sell it. Yeah. Honestly, I used to sell a can. I used to sell a bag of sweets, chocolates to students, and I just think, my entrepreneurship started early in school, which is quite. But anyway, moving away from that, I always respect business owners because they take the risks. Yeah. Right. Now, with your business, Kyle's Marketing, tell me about the risks, because people will want to be starting their own businesses and they want to know what the risks are. So tell me.
Ultimately, it wasn't me that took the risk. Chantal started this on her own, but the risk she was still working. Like I said, my risk was before Kyle's, because I was like, right, I've got a little bit of money in my pocket. It wasn't a lot. I'm talking a couple of grand. And I was like, but I'm going to find something and make it work. There was no initial investment into the businesses as such. So there wasn't masses of risk. The risk was, is it going to work or not? With other businesses, obviously, you do have to invest in things like that. But I always say to people, look, is there much risk? What are you risking? If you sit in that job right now, for the rest of your life, you can do that. And if that's where you're happy, do that. But if you want more, you might as well risk something, because what is the risk? Well, I can go back to my job. I can find another job. You're doing that already. That's always going to be there. You know what I mean?
It's how you respond to risk.
I think the risks in our business have come as we've moved in hiring staff, in signing the lease on a bigger office, and and it's managing that risk at that point and understanding your finances basically.
Yeah.
Looking at kind of going, okay, what have I made? Have I got enough money? If I'm invested into this, can I still pay the staff? Can I still, give bonuses out? Can I, still give back to the staff as much as I possibly can and keep the staff happy? For me, that's the biggest risk in this business.
And when I say the word risk, it brings back one of the most probably important times of my life, right?
Yeah.
And I've never told this story, so this is the first time I say it. Okay, I'm living by my veto.
Yeah.
When I started a company, right, I put a lot into it, financially as well as time. And obviously, when you start a company, as you'll know, you don't really have an income unless you start getting your clients, right? And when I started, I had something happen at my house. There was a hole in the roof.
Right.
So some roofers come out and they gave me a quote, and I thought, "Are you joking?" It was like 15 grand, right? And I thought, but it's the roof. I can't just live with a hole in my roof.
Yeah.
It's going to cause so many issues. So at that stage in my head, I was thinking, I've got no money coming in. I've got 15 grand to pay for the roof. I've not got much to fall back on at all. This is going to end me.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember one day I was walking through Primark in Manchester, and it was the lowest point in my life because I was like a zombie. Because I wasn't focused on anything in the world. It was just things going through my head like, this is it, my life's over.
Yeah.
Right? Honestly, that's all I was thinking. But then I thought to myself, I got home and I thought, no, I'm not going to let this happen. Can't. And I used to collect watches.
Okay.
So I had this Breitling watch, which meant a lot to me. It meant like a lot because it was like
your first watch
it
type
was
thing
like, it was like
bought,
what it signified. It signified the start of me.
Yeah.
Right. I took it to Ramsden's in town, and I sold it.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking. I sold it, but it got me by.
Yeah.
For an extra couple of months, and if I didn't do that,
you just fell into that hole of...
I would have given up. I would have went back and found something in an employed role. I would never be sat where I am.
Yeah.
Now, when young entrepreneurs are looking at risks of business, you got to take the risk to earn something.
Yeah, exactly.
Without risk, you're better off
There's
being
no
employed.
reward. I think that's what I can say. The risk isn't initially starting the business. It's being able to.
Yeah.
It's constant risk. The risks don't stop, and I think again that's where the mentality of business owners. We've not rushed this business into making millions. We probably could have pressed sales more and done things a different way. We're trying to learn as I grow. Do you know what I mean? And not go crazy and not, spend absolute thousands of pounds on staff and then think, oh, it's not turned out the way it was supposed to be, and now I've got to get rid of all these staff members. I've just taken smaller risks as we've grown.
So it's been organic.
Yeah. And then just gradually going through the paces and the motions of what gets thrown at you as a business owner, and taking them day by day, basically. And the risk is always there, I think. Things can change fast in business, really fast. Like you said, something could happen with your house and you think, oh, I need to pull money out of the business, or... But again, like I always say to Chantel, look, if Kyle's falls tomorrow, you think I'm going back to work for somebody? No, we can start again.
Yeah.
And we know we can do it, type thing. So I just take that risk.
Well, talking about organic growth then, so obviously you're 4 years today, which is...
weirdly enough,
congratulations, So it's been all organic growth. Now, I'm flipping it here to business owners that are your clients or potential clients, right? Ordinarily, I used to think the same. Ordinarily, what people do, they hire a member of staff. If they've got a marketing need, they hire a marketing person in-house. If they've got an administrative need, they'll hire an assistant. If they've got a need for regulatory compliance, they hire someone for that position in-house. What I've seen over the past few years, since COVID especially, things are being outsourced. So whether it's your virtual PAs, which is huge right now, whether it's marketing, whether it's even compliance or accountants, businesses are outsourcing. Tell me why, from a marketing perspective.
From a marketing perspective, so the cost now to hire, marketing's got so many different aspects. I'll probably start there. You've got things like web design, but then once you've got your website done, you need some SEO. Then you've got your SEO running, then you might look at Google advertising. And then you're looking at the social side, blog posts, social media management, Facebook and Instagram advertising, TikTok now, TikTok advertising, LinkedIn advertising. There's so many different elements to marketing. Now, can I do every single one of them myself? No. Can I hire one person to do all those things? No. Am I better hiring a team of professionals with specific people in specific roles that solely do those roles? Because there is in marketing, there's people that are web designers, there's people that specialize in paid advertising, there's people that specialize in SEO, people that specialize in there's full agencies that are just purely email marketing, CRM, pipeline management, there's loads of aspects to it. So outsourcing to a lot of companies makes sense because they can go and get a full marketing team that know exactly, they've been in the industry for years, they know exactly what they're doing, and they can generate better results than just throwing one person into the business, going, I need you to do all this. That person's going to get overwhelmed and probably get half the work done that they need to because you're throwing so much at them.
Yeah, well, I actually see a lot of smaller businesses, whether they've got, they're a one-man band or they've got a couple of people in the business. And I see them a lot in my gym because the time I go to gym, that's when all the business owners go, so after the rush.
Yeah,
But anyway,
same as us.
Yeah, but when I speak to them, they all do the marketing themselves, whether that's using CapCut, Canva, etc.
Yeah.
I know all these terms because they talk to me about it, otherwise I wouldn't have a clue. But
They're wasting the time.
well,
No, that's probably the wrong way to put it. When you're just starting out, you almost have to do a little bit of everything yourself because you just
I agree
started.
because of that. Yeah,
And you don't want your outgoing costs and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
ultimately, there's going to be a time where you are spending way too much time on your marketing and editing videos because you're probably even giving it so much thought that you don't realize that it's taking up hours of your day. Focus on LinkedIn. Just manage your own LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? This is an advice that I'm going to give to a lot of business owners or self-employed people. It's okay to do it for a while. If finances are your issue, it's okay to do it for a while. But there has to be a point where, again, this is a little bit of a thing that I do for myself. Put a value on your time.
Yeah.
Right. It's something that I've always done.
Yeah,
and I'll give you an example because I tried to do an Instagram or Facebook post, I can't remember. I tried to do one using some platform, I can't remember what it was. And I thought to myself, that's just taken me an hour.
Yeah.
And I've always done this for the past 5-6 years. I've placed an actual value on my time. So I looked at that post and I thought, that's just cost me that amount of money.
Yeah.
Am I better outsourcing? Of course I am, because then I can make money with my time.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Exactly.
So the advice I give to people is place a value on your hourly rate. Give yourself an hourly rate.
Yeah.
See how long it takes you. If it costs you more than outsourcing, what the hell are you doing?
You're wasting your time.
Yeah. So that's something that I've abided by recently. Now,
I think another one on that point is when you do pass it to someone, let the professionals do their work.
it's that trust issue, isn't it?
Yeah, I know it, and I know it's your business, and I know it's your baby because, again, coming from a bit, we just spoke about that. I get that, but the professionals are there to do that job, and they're keeping up with the trends. They're keeping up with, let them do their work. Obviously, you've got a brand guideline to go by, and how we know how you want to be perceived and things like that. But let them guys do the work because, again, if you're then chipping in every 5 minutes, going, oh well, maybe change this or do this, you might as well be still doing it yourself because you're wasting your time.
Well, that goes back to
micromanaging.
Well, that goes back to when you hire people, right?
Yeah.
You're hiring them to do a job that you either can't do or don't have the time to do, right? Now, as an employer, if I have to tell one of my employees, do this, do that, it's defeating the purpose. I always say
Yeah.
to them, if you ever come to me and ask me, Jack, what should I do? I'll fire you. Well, what's the point in
Why are
hiring
you
you?
here? Yeah.
Because you should be telling me.
I found this.
Yeah,
This
you
has
should
come
be
up.
telling me what to do
Yeah,
because I've
yeah.
hired you for that purpose. So again, people that use marketing agencies, virtual assistants, or outsourcing, right? Let them do their job.
Yeah. I think is it one of the Kardashians or the young lasses. She outsources everything,
Yeah,
and she became a billionaire within. I know she's got the family name
yeah.
behind her or whatever, but outsources every single part of the business.
Let them do the job.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. So now you're 4 years into your business,
Yeah.
right? For someone, let's say coming out of uni or a young entrepreneur that's interested in marketing, yeah. Um, let's talk finances. If they were joining a company, what does that look numerically compared to if they started off on their own? What's the dreams?
Yeah, I think if I'm understanding it right, are you talking about like the wage salary
Yeah, yeah,
part? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So you're probably looking coming out of uni, starting out, depending on where you want to, because obviously again there's a lot of aspects. So depending on where you want to go in your marketing career, whether it's social media, website, or anything like that, there's probably different pay. You know, development's a high paying role, web development. So you probably start off, you know, around 30, 35 maybe. Social media, things like that, you're probably going to be starting at the minimum wage. But I would also advise some people to not go and do marketing in-house for somebody. Go to an agency. You're going to learn more because you're going to you've got a mix of clients. You're not just going to be working for a plumber, for example, that's got, you know, and you're just running around following a plumber around. You're not learning much about marketing.
Yeah.
Get around the professionals that have been in the industry longer.
Yeah.
Learn your trade. And then if you think, do you know what, I want to have a crack at this on my own, absolutely go and do it. Because although it's hard, that's what I'm saying, go and get the industry experience because you might be able to chat with the sales team and pick up a few sales tactics. So, because ultimately I've got to sell it still, and it's not an easy sell, is marketing. So, but once you come out and if you can sign a couple of deals, you'll make your wage, you know, within the first 3 months that you were on, quite easily. I'd say so. If you're good at doing your job.
So that's a good tip, actually. So just to reiterate, if you're coming out of uni, you've got a marketing sort of degree, and you want to get into the industry,
Yeah.
don't just join any old company and be their marketing intern.
No.
Try to look for marketing agencies, which
Yeah.
makes sense, but at the same time, it's not obvious. That's just mad
Yeah,
because
because there's so many marketing jobs out there that
Yeah.
people are hiring for that you'll just jump in, you know, you're going
Yeah.
to take the job that you get given. I'd only apply for agencies because at least then as well, if you're not sure where you want to go in the marketing world, if you're in an agency, you can see all the different departments working. So you can be like, actually, that's interesting me, or that's where I want to go with that. You know, I think one of our staff, Ruby, she did social media for a company in-house before she came to us. She then came to an agency, and now she's doing a role that's not creation at all. She's coordinating.
Yeah.
And she suits that role much better. And she seems to be more passionate about that. So she's found her own feet, but by coming to an agency.
Yeah.
So absolutely go and work for an agency first. And you know, it's all experience at the end of the day, and you're gonna thrive more when you come out of that agency.
Okay, that absolutely makes sense. So, for yourself then, you're 4 years in.
Yeah.
You know what question I'm going to ask. Where are you going with this? What are your plans?
Ultimately, to sell it at some point, I guess. You know, that's the goal, would be to sell it as a multi-million-pound business. Originally, it's funny, I didn't ever want to take it too big. But with the pressures that are coming financially from the government and things going up and costs and all that sort of stuff, I'm now in the mindset of like, do you know what? You can't risk just being comfortable and just sitting and being like, oh, this is all right, because we just don't know what's going to come next year, the year after that. We don't know, you know, I want to be able to give back to my staff. So for me to do that, we can't just sit comfortably. We've got to scale the business.
What do you mean by give back to your staff?
Just give them more opportunity. You know, one of our staff members is soon going to be moving into a management role, from starting with us as just a social media assistant. She's gone into social media manager and then ultimately into manager. So with that, obviously, pay increases, gives them more experience. And I always say to the staff, look, what I want to give you guys, whether you stay with me for ever, or you want to move on to a bigger company, bigger agency, or on your own, I want to give you the best possible opportunity at your life that I can give you. And I think hopefully that's what they get back from me. But yeah, if I can give back to them in that way, whether it's knowledge, experience, monetary, money's not everything for some people either. If I can give them the experience and knowledge and training, whether it's leadership or just diving in deeper into advertising or whatever it might be, then I'll give them that. What was I saying about where it's going?
Yeah.
The company, from now, it's all hands on deck. We're moving more into the creation side, kind of moving with the times. So I think we're going to be bringing more production people in, videographers, UGC creators. That's kind of where the industry's going more and more and more. Websites are kind of still there, but for me anyway, I personally believe they're not as important as they once were. So many people, it's the new age coming through, right? They're so on the phones, on TikTok, Instagram, all these different platforms, scrolling. We've got to be marketing to these people because ultimately they're the people that are coming out of university, they're the people that are buying your products, they're the people that are buying your service. So that's where we're driving the business at the minute.
Now, for me, the most important aspect of any business, whether it's a finance company, marketing, law firm, doesn't matter. The most important aspect is business development, because ultimately, if you don't know how to get clients, if you don't know how to sign them up, you don't get paid. That's as simple as it is. So in the finance industry, we have academies running, and there's a lot of people joining the academy, and the one common theme of those graduates that come out, the one common theme that they struggle with is leads. That's it. They will have the knowledge, they will have the sales ability, they could do everything else, but how to actually develop leads, they can't do. And honestly, I see this as a trend for a lot of young adults. That's what they struggle with.
Why is that, do you think?
Honestly, I think, in my opinion, I deliver training sessions on this. In my opinion, there's 3 factors. Factor number 1 is it's a different generation. So the graft, not through their own fault, the graft isn't there because they don't see it. So I'll give you an example. When I signed one of my first clients up, when I was living in Dubai, I was a young kid, but I wanted this one client so badly, not because he looked nice. It's just what he represented, right? He was so senior at Vodafone. So I thought, okay, how do I get this client? Proper researched him, stalked him, right? He's originally from Scotland, but he was living in Luxembourg, and he had an event in Luxembourg, huge tech event. So I thought, you know what, I'm booking a ticket, I'm going there, I'm going to the event. So I went to the event, still had no communication, but what I did was I took a can of iron brew, because Scots love the iron brew, right? So when he did the opening speech for the event, I just stood like a stalker by the side of the platform, and as soon as he came down, I said, "Ninian, do you want a drink?" And I showed him the iron brew, and he goes, "Oh." Right? So he came to me, and then I said, "Listen, just give me 10 minutes of your time, let me have a chat with you." I had a chat with him, we kept in touch, and eventually he became a client. Now, I was prepared to do that graft. I was prepared to go to the end of the world. I was prepared to work ridiculous hours. I was saying earlier, I got to the point where I was working 8 a.m. to midnight every day to put that graft in. So that's number 1. The second one is social media. Everything has been so easy at people's fingertips. People are losing the ability and skill of talking to people. That's as simple as it is. And what they revert to is something that I hate, and I know you hate. They revert to networking events. Right? Now, I'm sorry, I just have to say this.
Could be a 2-hour conversation on networking.
I'm not going to name the networking events. We know what they are. They're absolute crap.
They are.
They are so saturated with people. You've got to think, right? If you are wanting to develop business on lead generation, what type of people are going to these network events? The ones that are struggling.
Yeah.
So it defeats the purpose. It's like
And
counteractive, isn't it?
a lot of time it's the same people in
Yeah,
the same room,
same people,
talking
same
to the
room.
same people.
Yeah, it's just nonsense. That's just our opinion, by the way.
Yeah.
If you want to go to networking events, go.
By all means, yeah.
Now, the third reason why business development is also failing, I've got a meeting with G about it. G's the one that does this for our academy at the end of this month. Old-fashioned methods
Yeah.
pisses me off. In our industry, if we have decision makers of industries or regulatory people who are dinosaurs, still calling the shots, the industries are not changing. I'm talking about my industry here mainly.
Yeah. I think it's relevant for, a lot of our, probably going to get a lot of hate for this one, but I come back to cold calling a lot.
Yeah.
It does not work the same way it used to be. Now,
No.
there is some cold callers out there
Yeah.
that are absolute animals at it.
Yeah.
They are who they are. But nowadays, I just don't think the generation coming through have got the thick skin, should we say,
No.
to hammer them calls. I mean, if I said to a new member of staff that came in here as a sales role, I need 150 calls out here today, and they're just going to, half the time people don't answer the phone these days. This is the problem as well. So is your time better off focusing on your personal branding, your own LinkedIn, reaching out, sending video
Indirect
messages,
marketing.
and just engaging with people over time to establish yourself in your industry as a relevant
That's
person.
exactly what it is. Cold calling was a thing 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not now.
No.
But I still see companies do it. So these industry leaders or people who have a voice, if you're calling the shots and you're a dinosaur and you don't understand that times have changed, you need to change.
Yeah.
And I'm fighting at the moment with my own industry. I've had a huge fight with, probably shouldn't say, but again, I don't care. Personal Finance Society, they're the ones that call the shots in my industry. Yeah, let's just say I don't agree with what they're doing because it's still 15 years ago.
Yeah.
If you want to bring young people into the industry, do something different.
Yeah. I think the same with the education system.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
It's so outdated.
It's out. So they're the reasons why I think business development is really struggling, and people in the finance industry, they struggle to get leads. They then they have no choice but to give up, and they can't become entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So we had a bit of an off-topic discussion. You yourself, how have you made business development work? How do you generate leads?
So we've got a little secret.
Don't be vetoing off me now.
I won't veto on you, but we have got a little in-house secret that we use, which ultimately does a lot of cold email outreach. Obviously, we're marketers, so over time, we call it the honeypot. Chantel's LinkedIn's brilliant. Initially, she brought a lot of business through there, through her own personal brand. Our email marketing strategy works extremely well, which we've then taken on to other businesses and helped them with. We've never used social media ads. They don't really work for marketing agencies. The other side of that is I do network with people, but my networking is very different to your networking groups and things like that. It's
natural.
Yeah, it's natural, and it's generally come from being on holiday, being in the gym, and just being around the right people. As I've grown as a business owner, I've met more business owners, done a good job for them. Through those, I've met other people, and their net worth is but as the people have grown, the networks have got bigger, the net worth has got bigger as well, and that's put me in positions where I've been able to network with the right people, should we say, and they have brought me business and referrals. That's how I've kind of built my side of this business. On the flip side of that is obviously Chantel's, like I said, her LinkedIn's great. She's brought leads in via that, and then I've gone and closed them on the phone, which it's not a cold call, but again, it's your personal brand. So all our staff, I always push them, do something on your LinkedIn, do something, build your personal brand. So when you come to apply for another job or you go to an entrepreneur, you look great. You got half your interviews done already because they've seen you. They know who you are as a person in that industry. If you went for a job interview now to a finance place, they'd be like, whoa, Jack O' Lee's just come for it, you know, and
Yeah, it's the personal brand, isn't it?
yeah,
So
because
it
they
is,
can see everything you're already doing. They can
Yeah.
see you're knowledgeable in the industry. They already know who you are
Yeah.
and what you can do. They're going to snap you up to the point we've had staff be poached
Yeah.
in the past because they've built the personal brand up that well that they're getting offered jobs
Yeah.
directly to them.
Now, I think one similarity that we both have is we started off in different careers and we've ended up in something completely different.
Yeah.
Right? Now, this again, I'm just trying to echo to the younger generation.
Yeah.
We've made that jump because our skills allowed us to adapt. Right? A lot of young adults and students now, they have a narrow mind whereby they just think, okay, I'm studying XYZ, I can only have a career in XYZ, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right? No, it's not it. Have that adaptability, build your skill set, and just be open-minded,
Yeah.
right? Because you've ended up being a business owner of a marketing agency. I've built my skill set up to be a business owner of XYZ, right?
Yeah.
So now we ask the questions, which again no one likes to answer, but you're allowed to veto. But I said we're going to be real,
Yeah.
right?
Fine.
We're not Stephen Bartlett here.
You love him, don't you?
But I'll give you my side first because
Yeah.
irrespective of what anyone says, people's decisions are driven by finances.
Yeah.
Can't lie about that. My decision when I got into finance was based on finances. I was looking at how much people were earning and was thinking, I want a piece of that.
Yeah.
Right? So, in my industry, people that qualify, if you go down the employed route, you should expect as a trainee to be earning 35 grand a year.
Yeah.
As an employed person after your traineeship, 50,000 a year, right? And as you get more experience, you earn more. If you become your own person, you should be hitting at least 100,000 after 2-3 years, right?
What's the cap, would you say, for the employed route?
The employed route, I say, well, it's funny you mentioned that because I hit that cap. The reason why I got my own business is what you said. When there's no more room, there's that ceiling you can't get past. I hit that.
Yeah.
Right? I hit that many years ago at the last company I was employed. I think the cap right now, probably 90s,
Yeah.
90,000. When I was there, it was about 87, I think. But if you manage to build something, not only are you paying yourself an income, you're building clients and it's a residual income.
Yeah.
So again, honesty speaks volumes. Every client I have, my job is not to get more clients. It's to manage my existing clients and they pay me annually.
Yeah.
So when I sign them up, they pay me and then they pay me annually. That's how I make my money, right? There's nothing wrong with that as long as I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
Right. The problem in my industry was the dinosaur industry, as in those old people that just won't go away.
Yeah.
They need to go away, right? Their way of working is so outdated because they won't be looking after the clients the way we are because we have to. So I'll give you an example. Someone that tried to sell his business to me, I said no because of red flags, and some woman ended up buying that business. I seen that woman 6 months later, and she comes and said to me, Jack, I've bought these clients of this guy who sold me the dream. 3 of the clients were dead, and they died 10 years ago. So in my head, I'm thinking that this guy has been paid for 10 years from this person's investments
Wow.
to manage, and he didn't know the clients were dead.
There's no relationship with the client at all.
No, none at all. So they're the finances involved, and it's a very lucrative industry, the finance industry, but it's one that is difficult without business development skills. What are the finances involved in yours?
Wow. Right. Let me think about this for a second.
You can veto.
No, I don't want to. I'll get it right. I'm just thinking, because you've given a good example. I'm trying to think of an example. So we're going from like employed and then for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, as a business owner.
Yeah, yeah. So we're a little bit different in business owner, obviously, because we don't have a contract of business. So like we're not signing people up annually. We're signing people up based on a 30-day cancellation policy. And similar to you, we've got to make sure that we're getting the person results. That's what marketing is, right? If we're not getting your results, then why they, comes down to the same thing of giving somebody money and not doing the job. So we've got to generate results for clients. What you can make, how long's a piece of string type thing, because as long as you are doing that job and you are hiring the right people into that business and you've got a decent team behind you, you can generally scale a marketing industry and go and go and go and go. It depends how big you want to take it personally. You have got to have the right skills behind you and the right business acumen, and bring in potentially, as you do grow, like I've thought about it, do I need somebody with that's why I said I'm taking it slower, because I'm trying to learn the lessons as we go. I could probably bring in somebody with way more business knowledge, give him a percentage of the company, get him to invest and maybe go bigger, but I'm not really going to learn as much that way.
So for an organic company then?
Yeah, for an organic
So
company.
if someone sat opposite you right now,
Yeah.
and they're saying, look, I want my own marketing company, but I want to know how much I'm going to make after 4 years, or 5 years, or 2 years, what are you saying to them?
I'd say you could be in the millions in 5 years, easily.
Millions as in business value or income?
Business, not personal income. Obviously, it depends on you as a person and what you want to take and how much you're charging and things. But first year you could easily take home, 40,000-50,000 pounds personally. Second year, again, depending on what you want to take personally, you could probably hit the 100,000, and then it ultimately comes down to what you want to take and how far you want to take it. But you could easily hit big numbers, and like I said, 4 or 5 years in, you could be looking at a multi-million-pound company, as long as you've got the product right and you're bringing clients results. If you're doing that, when you're going out to other clients, you've got case studies to say, look, we've worked with your industry, we can scale your company, we can get this for you, we can do this for you. So you can charge people in the thousands of pounds a month. You've just got to manage your staff costs and things like that. But ultimately, if you get the right staff behind you that do the job like we've said, that company is just going to grow and grow and grow. Again, it all comes down to you. But you can get to, you could probably earn 250,000 in 3 years.
Well, hopefully you'll get a lot of people in your inbox now asking you how to start. Because at
Probably,
the end
yeah.
No, well, at the end of the day, do you know what? I don't know if you're at that stage yet, but I certainly am. I feel as if I've got a responsibility to make sure that we carry on advocating for entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I get, sometimes it can mean competition, but competition is not a bad thing,
No.
right? Competition allows you to prove that you are the best.
Yeah.
It should make you feel motivated. Without competition, I'd get bored.
Yeah,
I
absolutely,
love
I
when
agree.
a client comes to me and says, Jack, I'm speaking to another financial planner. I love it because I'm just like, fine, I'm going to show you why I'm better than him or her,
Yeah.
right? And I think we should advocate young people that come out of university or they're in other jobs. If they want to take that step, go for it, do it.
Yeah,
Because
I agree.
it's obvious you can build success,
Yeah.
right? And
I think it's like a light bulb moment
Yeah.
as well when you do start on your own and you do sign clients. Like we sign clients for more than I ever made a year type, as an employed person. So it's you then question, you're like, whoa, like I thought it used to be my monthly wage, one client, and then you do 2, then 3, and then 4. Yes, there's costs that come out of that. Don't get me wrong, corporation VAT, all that sort of stuff. It's not as black and white as that. But you are signing that, and that is real money, and that is coming into your bank, and it's so possible. You've just got to believe in yourself that little bit. And like I said, if you've done a few years in a company and gathered some, that's ultimately what I did. I got experience in a marketing agency, and I saw the money on the sales boards. I saw what it was coming in. I was close to the director. I was like, I want a piece of this. I can
It's
do
funny,
this.
it's funny you mentioned that. That used to be a tactic in every industry. They used to have this board with how much,
Each salesperson had done.
yeah, and they don't do it anymore because they think, oh, it's too
Yeah, yeah.
against the grain,
It's
right?
competition, right?
But I used to love it because, again, going back to why I transitioned into the finance industry, that board, I still remember the two boards, one for the advisors and one for the business development people, and every week the advisors themselves or the business development managers yourself, if a sale comes through, they go and change their own figure, and I used to look at that and think, whoa. And honestly, I used to be like, I used to think I can't wait to do that myself.
Yeah.
That was, but yeah, thank you very much. I guess that's everything. Is there anything you want to ask me? Didn't get to use my veto.
No, no. You asked me a lot of questions. I think I'd ask you how you got started out, like in terms of where you took that risk as well, where you were like, actually, this is the point where I'm going to step into my own business. I'm going to have a go at it myself.
Do you know what? It was all a telephone conversation for me. There was a guy. It's funny because it was pretty much a cold call, honestly. So
Times have changed.
yeah, well, this is quite a while ago. He called me and he just basically said, "Look, can we just set up a meeting?" We set up a meeting. I looked at my diary and this first meeting, I just didn't bother with it. I sent an email 5 minutes before the meeting, which I don't do anymore. I said, "Yeah, I can't make it." So he carried on, and eventually we spoke, and he just said, "Look, you're young, and online you seem like you're a hunter." He used that word, hunter.
Yeah.
Meaning you're not going to sit on your ass. You're going to
It's a good
go
word
out,
to
right?
use, really. Is that's where you've got to be, because if you
You've got
think
to
of
hunt.
if you think of a lion, for example,
Yeah.
that's out, he's got to go and protect his pride, type of thing, which is your family and your children, or he's got to go out and find food.
Yeah.
He's got to hunt, and if he comes back with nothing,
Yeah.
they're not eating.
Well, I mean, I remember him using that phrase, and then we got talking, and he just basically said, "Look, are you happy where you are now?" And at that time, I thought, I'm not happy, but I'm earning a lot for my age, right? But that's what I said before I hit that scene, that I couldn't earn any more. And he just basically, he said, "Send me what you got, and I can do projections, see what you can earn." He did it, and he come back to me, and I thought, no, this is too good to be true.
Yeah.
But then I did my own research and due diligence, and I thought, you know what? I'm young enough to take this risk now. Took the risk, and I said about the risk earlier. At first, it was scary because all this stuff happened, but I look back and think,
I think the risk is almost. I think people think the risk is leaving your job.
yeah,
Because you risk. I think that's what the initial risk is, isn't it? I'm walking away from this figure that I'm guaranteed every month to be paid.
yeah,
To set this up where there's no money.
no. The risk is taking that leap of faith, and
Yeah.
even now, right, I'm established, but honestly, I don't work the whole of December pretty much.
Yeah.
Right, meaning January, I don't really have that much of an income coming in.
Yeah.
Right. But for me, it's always been like that. My 12 months, I have periods where my income is up here and I have periods where it's down here. But that's all to do with my timetable. I manage my own timetable. I get to decide when I'm off. I get to decide whether I work a month or not. I get to decide if I want to go to the flipper moon or work. Right? That's the flexibility I love.
Built. Yeah.
That's the flexibility you will love as business owners, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that was the defining moment of my career, because that phone call allowed me to take that leap of faith, allowed me to take that risk, allowed me to suffer with a bloody collapsed roof, and allowed me to think, okay, I don't want to spend less.
Yeah.
I want to earn more for the life I want. That's my changing moment.